Hi, Janam. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer a few questions I might have. So first, can you tell me a little bit about, as a student, what programs you have and how it really works?
That's a broader question, so I'm going to give as much as possible details. But of course, if you do need anything specific, you could reach out to us separately through email or through our chat on our website. At GP, we basically specialize mainly in providing solutions for students across two different disciplines in terms of learning styles. One is we have students that come to us that want to go to another country, that is study in another country, and then eventually their goal is to obtain a work permit or a work visa and perhaps settle down or get the experience exposure needed and then fly back to their own country, or whatever the choice that they have in mind. That's one option. The second option is studying in their own home country, uh, at their own time, with flexibility of timings and as distance learning. So to summarize, there are two things. There is on-campus learning and there is distance learning. On-campus learning face to face is fairly straightforward. We get students that come to us and say, hey, look, I want to go to the UK, go to the US, or any other country that we offer on-campus options and study. And then when they come to us, sometimes they come to us wanting to do the complete program in with that particular university in that country, or do the final year, depending on their requirement of migration or getting that learning experience studying in another country. They decide, or they choose based on that. So if we take studying abroad, we use various terms: study abroad, on campus, face to face. All of these are the same thing, that's going abroad and studying. um, the challenge a lot of students have is, it's important that they understand that when you do a on-campus program, you have to apply for visa, student visa, and then you have to successfully get the student visa to be able to go and study. Though it is a challenge, it's not that it's difficult or it cannot be done, subject to the fact that you have the necessary prerequisites to be able to get the visa, such as an offer letter from the university, which we work on getting. You then, with the offer letter, once you fulfill all the conditions, such as the entry requirements are fulfilled, like your English language requirement is met, your diploma qualification that is needed for you to progress towards the university is met, and you have written a solid personal statement, plus you have sufficient funds and you paid your fees to the university, then they issue a document called CAS, or if it's US, they issue a separate document that enables you to utilize that document and go apply for visa. Up to that point, we provide all the support needed. When it comes to the visa stage, also we work with a partner organization of ours who provides the necessary consultation to obtain visa too. So we provide that service where students are given an opportunity to connect with one of our partners, talk through their current status in terms of their financials and what they're looking at, and using this offer letter that they get from the university, they apply for visa. But it's a lengthy process. You need to have sufficient funds in your bank account to be granted visa, because as part of the process, they need to make sure as a student you have the capacity, the means to live in that country, because you are going in as a student and not going to be working. So as long as those things are fulfilled, the enrollment takes place and you study directly with the university. We have some students, while studying with the university, they need extra tuition support. They come to us and say, hey, look, I am studying at the university, but I want some support to assist with the learning and all the stuff. And that's a service we provide too. And then it's fairly straightforward after that in terms of that uh, opportunity or option that is available for students wanting to study with GP. The secondary option, which is the most prominent one, or the one that we have most amount of students coming to us, is students wanting to study in their own home country. And the main difference between the two is the fact that you don't need to go through the process of having to have sufficient funds in your bank account, or you don't need to go through the process of applying for visa, because you are able to study the same program. Make no mistake. If you as a student go to, for example, University of Coventry University, and you study a program, the distance learning option that we offer is similar to the same program. Uh, and the good thing about it is the price that you pay to go and physically study there for that program and the price that you pay to study as a distance learning student is significantly lower. So that's why it's the most sought after program by many, because obviously because of financial constraints, people prefer to study with us distance through distance learning. And from the time of enrollment until graduation, we provide all the necessary support needed for them to complete their program. Now, one of the things that a lot of students get confused or may not have this understanding on, which I'll explain a little bit further on, is the fact that as a student, when you want to study a distance learning, there is this concept called studying the final year or doing a top up. And people have this perception that it's not a complete degree, which is wrong. That's a myth, because you cannot be accepted by a UK or US university unless you have fulfilled. When I say accepted, you can't be awarded a master's program unless you fulfill the necessary credit requirement. And then each country has different credit requirements, which means most of the students that come to us have to already have a diploma that is equivalent to doing the first or the second year of a bachelor's or doing the first year of a master's to do the final year with the university. If they don't have a diploma, but they have the necessary work experience and other knowledge that they can share, we do something called an APL or an APEL, where we follow through a process of looking through the student's work experience or available other qualifications. We map that against a diploma provider, for which obviously you still need to pay the fees separately, but you don't spend time studying. So it's quicker and faster. So you could go towards the final year. Now, what that does is you are able to obtain a bachelor's given that you have the necessary prerequisites within 6 to 12 months, depending on the university that you pick. Generally, it's about 9 to 12 months because you have to do the final year. A master's, you're able to do it within a short period of time of as 4 months, but we do have certain programs that goes beyond 4 months. So it depends on the university that you pick and the requirement that you have. Each university that we offer, the pricing structures are different. So students look through generally the price, that's their first concern. Number two, the recognition. Number three, their end goal. Some students come to us because they want this qualification for migration purposes to submit for paperwork. They come to us because they want a growth in their own organization. They want to climb up the ladder. And some come because they purely want the knowledge and then have that understanding. So it depends on the uh, stage in which you want to be at. So as a whole, as GEP, we offer programs and solutions in the education sector from OL stage up to doctorate stage. And we have students that come to us saying, look, I don't have an OL certificate or I don't have an AL certificate. Can I learn something? I want to gain that knowledge because I want to progress. We offer diplomas to meet that requirement. And we also have this program with that is used by the Canadian education system called OSSD that we offer students. Then we have students that come who've completed their college. They don't have any qualifications, so we have the level 3, level 4, level 5, and then obviously progressing towards the bachelor's, master's, and then the doctorate program, which covers the entire education cycle. Within that education cycle, um, there are some students that come to us and say, hey, I want a bachelor's, but I don't want to be in business management. I want to be in accounting and finance. I want to be in hospitality and tourism. And we are able to offer that too, because it's not only that we have the general programs, the bachelor's or the master's, we have flavored or different discipline programs, is what we call it, depending on the area that you want to specialize in. But a question a student generally would ask us is, Denim, what is it that you would recommend for me to do? And I always tell students, if you have not had any qualification before, the recommended qualification would be to do a bachelor's in business management or a master's, general master's, an MBA, because your first qualification should be something that is giving you scope and not restricted, not specialized. Once you do that, you can specialize in a particular field. For example, if you take myself, I studied CMA, so I didn't see the need to do a bachelor's program. But I did a master's, but I didn't do an MSc in accounting and finance as my first master's. I did an MBA in top up because I wanted to keep my scope open, my openings open. So I have a general one. Once I did my first master's, I progressed towards doing my secondary master's, which was specializing in MSc and accounting and finance. So that's the sort of advice I would give any student. So that's sort of like a brief explanation about recruitment and how things would work. But I could go on for hours explaining so many different things. In order to make things easier, on our website, we have an FAQ booklet where there's been a lot of questions, common questions that's come through to us that we've answered. You could refer to it, but we are always available to provide any answers that you might want answers to, um, through email or through a Zoom call or through a Google Meet or WhatsApp, whatever it may be. Because our role in helping you pick the right program is huge, because we don't just act as a recruitment agency, but we do a lot of student counseling and support in helping students understand where they should uh, end up with and what they should do based on the information they provide us. I hope that helps answer the question that you asked.
Yes, that was very clear. Thank you so much.
No problem. Happy to help.
So then, can you let me know how does the registration process works for distance learning courses?
Okay. I think that's a question better suited for Gio to answer, but I'll give a start to it and then I'll let Gio continue with giving the necessary documents that is required. Um, so the how the registration process technically works is, student there is always an inquiry that a student raises. Students come to us and say, hey, I'm looking at getting a bachelor's, I'm looking at getting a master's, what are my options? So it's sort of like a feeler that they ask a set of questions. So what we do is we generally then set up a call, which usually sort of like the start of the counseling session, student counseling session, where we set up a call with the student. We understand their requirement. Are they planning to migrate? Are they planning to use this qualification for knowledge purpose, or are they using it to grow in their organization? And then we obviously, a key question that we ask is, what's the budget? What are you looking at? Because we have programs that we can offer that's priced from as low as $2,000 or £1,800 going up to £15,000, or $16,000 or something like that. In the sense, students can choose what they want. So it all depends on their requirements. So one of the first things that we do is we get on a call, we try to gather as much as possible information, and we ask certain set of questions. Actually, something that we've done as an organization is we have this questionnaire that we fill when we talk with students, where we sort of tell them, hey, give us answers to these questions. Once we have that, we then give a customized solution that we can propose to them through an email. Say, look, given the conversation we had, these are the options that's available. Once you've had a chance to go through, let's get on another call so we can explain anything that's not clear. And then once we go through explaining and providing the necessary details about the program that they're interested in, and they have clear understanding, then of course the next step is for them to make a deposit towards their enrollment with the program through GEP. And when that initial deposit is made and they've shown the commitment that they're keen to work towards this, of course, before the money is paid to us, they fill up an application form. When filling up an application form, there is a series of documents that needs to be submitted to us. Nothing too crazy or difficult. It's fairly straightforward documents, but we require this as part of the registration process. Then we obviously raise the invoice. Once the invoice is raised and the payment is cleared, I'd let Joe explain the documents that's necessary, so you know what we're looking at. But if I go through the student cycle, once the documents are sent, application form is completed, the payment is made, the initial deposit is made, the student is registered. From the point the student is registered, they are then given an enrollment letter from the university as well as from us. Then they're given access to their learning platform. They're allocated with a particular tutor. Then they start their learning, they through the student life cycle, they start learning the course specifics, whatever the program that they pick. They submit their assignments, those things are graded. It goes through a ratification process called an awards board, where during that their marks are confirmed and then their certificates are issued. Then it's communicated to them. Then comes the graduation stage, and yeah, they complete the program. So that's in short how the life cycle works. But in terms of the documents that's necessary, which is an important thing to know, I'll let Gio share that information with you. But that should be the process of registration to being certified. Gio, over to you. Do you want to share the documents that's necessary?
Yes, thanks, Dhanam. Thanks for explaining it. So the list of documents that we would need for a student to enroll into the program, like Dhanam said, the application form is mandatory, which has all the students' information. And we request for the students' prior qualification documents if they have done any. And we also request for a reference letter through the prior qualifications they have done. They can request it from the institute. And the mandatory documents will also involve the passport copy, which is not expired, of course, and then we have the CV with all the correct information that's up to date, and the personal statement and the work experience letter. So these are the mandatory documents that we request from a student when they enroll. And like Denham said, obviously there's a student life cycle from the beginning till the end. We will be there to support the student at every stage of the student life cycle. And also, there's one more important thing that we always advise the student to do is when they know that this is the intake. For example, we have major intakes on January, May, and September. And if these are the main intakes and the student, for example, knows that they're going for the May intake, they should be prepared at least by April to submit these mandatory documents in order for us to start the application process and to go on with it smoothly. So that's one main advice that we give to the students. So in summary, those are the mandatory documents, and I think Denham covered most of the points of the other student life cycle.
Thanks, Gio. Kavi, was there anything else that you needed to know, or did that cover what you were
I think
looking
that
for?
covered my question, Dhanam. And thank you, Gio.
Perfect. Thank you very much.